So I want to welcome you to the Pasco School Board meeting this evening. Thank you for attending and your interest in Pasco Public Schools. Understand that while it may appear that the board is moving quickly on important matters, there have been previous opportunities for discussions on these issues either in earlier meetings, study sessions, or in board workshops, which are all open public meetings. Each director has had sufficient time to study the issues, ask questions, and obtain satisfactory answers from district staff or through their own independent research. We as school board directors strive to understand all the issues brought before us and to make decisions that we believe are in the best interest of all the students of Pasco and the taxpayers who provide funding. The board study session that we had earlier this afternoon was to help set legislative priorities for the board. That's available on PSC channel 191 on Charter Cable, or it is also available on the school district YouTube page. And this board meeting tonight will be available through the same media. Like I said, we're fortunate to have student board reps. We have two of our board reps that served last year sitting out here in the front row. I guess they already miss us. It's been a month and they can't stay away. And we're excited to have our three new board reps. Two of them, like I said, will take their oath of office here shortly. They're an important part of our team and the board's decision-making process, and they will participate in many board activities and functions throughout the year and are vital in helping us keep our focus on putting students first. With that, we'll have Misty Lace and Jesus Mendoza lead us in the flag salute. Ms. Whitney will administer the oath of office to our new student board representatives. You can go stand behind her.
Okay. Raise your right hand. I, Misty Lace,
I, Misty Lace,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Washington,
and the state of Washington,
and I will faithfully perform the duties of student director
and I will faithfully perform the duties of student director
of Pasco School District Number 1
at Pasco School District Number 1
in the county of Franklin,
in the county of Franklin,
state of Washington,
state of Washington,
according to the best of my abilities.
according to the best of my abilities.
Misty. I, Jesus Mendoza,
I, Jesus Mendoza,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the state of Washington,
and the state of Washington,
and I will faithfully perform
and I will faithfully perform
the duties of student director
the duties of student director
of Pasco School District Number 1
of Pasco School District Number 1
in the county of Franklin,
in the county of Franklin,
state of Washington,
state of Washington,
according to the best of my abilities.
according to the best of my ability.
And did either of you guys have friends or family here watching you take the oath? Not today? Okay. Well, congratulations and welcome, and we're excited to have you guys serve during the next year up here with us as student directors. Next, we'll have Ms. Smith call the roll.
Mr. Christensen?
Present.
Ms. Lamkin?
Present.
Mr. Narman?
Present.
Mrs. Phillips?
Present.
Mr. Neff?
Excused.
Ms. Mendoza?
Present.
Ms. Lace?
Present.
Dr. Richardson.
Present.
Thank you. Next, we have the approval of the meeting minutes.
Mr. President, I move to approve the regular meeting minutes of June 28th, 2016.
I'll second the motion.
There's a motion and a second to approve the regular meeting minutes from June 28, 2016. Those in favor say yes.
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 Those opposed say no. Motion carries. The meeting minutes from June 28, 2016 are approved. Next, we have agenda review.
I would like to call the board's attention to consent agenda 11A personnel. There has been a change to that agenda item. I would also like to request an executive session under 4230, 110, 1G, and 1I.
All right, in just a moment, I'll invite audience members up for audience comments. All comments and any questions will be noted by the board. If you ask a question and would like additional response, please ensure that your contact information is left in the back corner there so that we can get back to you. Ms. Whitney will also use this contact information to respond or have district staff respond to questions. Audience comments will be solicited also after each report or action item, which are agenda items number 9 and 10 up there. If you have comments on report or action item topics, please wait until that time and I'll invite you up to make your comments on those issues at that time. In just a minute, I'll ask you to come up to the microphone. Please state your name and affiliation with the school district. And you'll have 2 minutes. We'll keep track. Leslie, Miss Call over here. After a minute and a half, we'll hold up the yellow folder signaling that you have 30 seconds remaining. After 2 minutes, she'll hold up the red folder signaling that your 2 minutes are finished. Okay, so the microphone will be open. Any audience members that have comments, please address the board.
My name is Marcia Stillwell. I'm a parent of 5 and a teacher of many at Chiawana. Last month, I spoke about the need to re-examine the boundary policy and the number of exemptions made. And as you all know, this doesn't apply to my children. This is not about my children. This is about all the children that I see, all the families who can't speak for themselves, the kids in my neighborhood that I'm not supposed to tell you, but that I know are cheating the boundaries. They can't come here and speak for themselves and ask for help because that would be confessing something that they can't do. And so I'm here to speak for them. And I'd just like to ask you, the 6 of you represent all the power in this district. We have a superintendent and a school board here. If anyone can make this change, it's you. And so I just wondered if anyone could speak to what you would like to do or what you will do on this issue.
I think what makes sense here is we've had this policy in place for a year. We probably, Ms. Whitney, we've had short updates on it, on how many people applied the first year, how many people applied the second year. We'll work together, I think, and have a short update from district staff, and we can have discussion as a board and decide if we'd like to take further action.
Can I just clarify? So you're saying you plan to discuss it in the future soon?
We'll plan to get it on the agenda in the next 2 months,
After the start of school?
probably.
Okay.
So you say you know there are students who are, I think your word
I
was
can't say
cheating the
that
boundary?
as a school employee, I can't say that.
Well, you certainly inferred that.
I certainly am inferring that, yes.
All right, and so I think the policy currently is that they can apply in as a freshman to go to the other school, right?
They can, but if they move, if they've already been a freshman at a different school and they move in their sophomore, junior, or senior year, then they don't get a choice. If they've already been here and started in one school and move after their freshman year, they don't get a choice. If they move into Pasco sometime other than their freshman year, they don't get a choice. Only children who are already here in their freshman year making that choice. There's no options for anyone else.
So you're proposing basically an open boundary policy for at least some of the students.
At the very least, as a parent who has received the rejection letter saying, I'm sorry, your child can't have this exemption, at the very least, I would encourage some more freedom in that, because right now, as it stands, there's a pretty solid no exemptions for any reason policy. Unless you get in under this freshman clause, there are no exemptions made, almost ever. There's a few times that a medical exemption will be made, but almost never. And so I'm sure that Ms. Cloud is tired of being the one signing her name on all those rejection letters for all those families. If you could just give families hope. It doesn't have to be a blanket anyone can transfer, but right now it's a blanket no one, and that's just not okay.
Marsha, I know that we have, that this is something new that we have tried, and that there was some really good ideas behind it. And I think being very black and white is something that we are getting away from a little bit. And so I think you have some valid points there, you know, moving your senior year and having to start a new school. It's something that we will definitely look into, and anyway, I think there's some things that we can really look at as we look at numbers and how many from each school, so that we don't overcrowd one school or another, because currently that's probably the biggest problem. Both schools are overcrowded, but one is vastly more overcrowded than, you know, one's in more dire straits than the other. So all of those things have to be taken into account. But I know initially we started with the freshmen with the intention of looking at it, and we will do that.
Thank
So
you.
I just want to clarify, I committed to putting it on the agenda in the next 2 months, and you asked before school starts or after. I think probably at this time that's irrelevant, because the board will have the discussion, and if we wish to take action, we will. But if we took action, it puts the district in a hard spot to try and say you'll implement that, you know, before school starts. So we'll have the discussion, but whatever the decision is, if there is changes, it doesn't mean it's implemented that day.
Understood. Thank you.
So just, I think the two things you identified were students moving into the district and students who are already in school and move.
Yes.
Those two specific situations.
I think,
Any
to me,
others
those
that
are the
you're-
greatest hardships.
The people moving into the district from out of the district?
Right, if a family, so I have a friend, and they've had a child who's lived with his grandparents for the last while, and actually, Ms. Phillips, you just met him last month, Jesse, and he has just come back to be with his parents, and he's a sophomore. And so there's no recourse for them. He has to go where he's boundaried, and he is a special needs child who would do better in a particular environment, but they can't put him in the school that they feel has the best resources given his special needs, because that's not where they live, and he's a sophomore.
And their exemption was denied?
Their initial just ask, yes. I believe they're working, trying to get maybe a doctor's, some sort of medical exemption, because those are the only places that families are having luck getting an exemption. But as of right now, no.
I would like to ask Ms. Cloud to touch base with you before you leave to get some details, so we can make sure that that particular situation is rectified.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Stillwell.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Aiden Mendoza, and I go to Chihuahua High School. Before I start, let me ask a question. Has there been a conclusion to policy 1115?
Can you remind us what policy 1115 is?
Whether to raise the number of student representatives from 3 up to 4?
There's been no conclusion. The board decided to have future discussion on that at a later date.
Can I just say something right now to the policy?
Sure.
I believe that New Horizons should have a say and a voice on this board, because there's over 200 students attending that school, and each with parents who pay taxes for these meetings to be possible. And I think it is ridiculous for them not to have their own say. I've heard discussion last time on the meeting where it was discussed about whether student representatives could just meet with that school and just come back with the input, but I think that it should be a student from that school. And the answer is clear, because the best representation is always the most representation. And that's just my way of thinking, and I hope you guys come to the conclusion of 4 is better than 3.
Thank you. And what was your name? Aiden, or can you repeat?
Aiden Mendoza, yeah.
Okay. And you go to Chiawana?
Yeah.
Thank you for your comments.
And you do realize that Jesus is from New Horizons. Thank you. Anyway, New Horizons. My brain's not working really well today. So we do have representation from New
Yeah.
Horizons this year.
Yeah, but I would like also to see all 4 board members up there, because I've also heard, like, what if you guys only choose 4? Who's gonna sit up there, you know? But just like, let me bring up a similar analogy. In the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln, being burdened by the economy, the politics, you know, as he laid eyes upon the Capitol, it was being reconstructed, the dome, and it was half built. And as he saw there, it reflected the country that was half split apart, you know. And this board won't be full until 4 board members up there, each from their schools.
Thank you for your comments, Aiden.
Thank you, Aiden. I agree with you.
All right. Next, we'll move on to board communications, and we'll start with Dr. Richardson.
So last week I visited the Franklin Pierce Early Learning Center in Tacoma and met with their director and took a tour of their facility. And as we are going to undergo renovating the senior center to an early learning center, it was what essentially they've done in the last year. They renovated an old church to become an early learning center. It was fantastic. They were very open about sharing what went well, what didn't go well. And I understand our district's going to be visiting with them and visiting the facility next month. I think we can learn a lot of lessons from that. A couple of main takeaways for me are something that we've done very well with New Horizons relocation, which is heavy involvement of the staff, the people that will be using the facility to have input in how it is designed to best utilize the facilities and the space there. So I think that's one main thing I'm hoping we can do very successfully as a district with this facility. And the second main takeaway was the state did support their facility with a large amount of funds, and I think we are in a good position to receive funds to support our facility in a similar way. And just very excited to see what we come up with and how we best are going to utilize that with the input from the staff. That's it. Thank you.
Well, I enjoyed attending another 2 high school graduations. I think we had an additional 14 graduate from Pasco High School, and was it 6 or 8 from Chiawana High School? Something like that. Anyway, it was wonderful. It was wonderful to hear those kids, to interact with those kids and hear the speeches, and just getting that many more kids graduating from high school. I love that we can have summer graduation and keep those kids graduating in this year, or even ones that were in the 5th year, you know, help them to get, we have some great support things in our high schools that help kids graduate, and we have great graduations rates as a result of those programs in both Chiawana High School and Pasco, and so it was a great opportunity to do that.
I also enjoyed the graduations, and we have one additional tomorrow with New Horizons. So thank you for all the help that those teachers and counselors that put forth to help those kids make that graduation and continue the graduation rate for 2016. They did a great job.
Jesus, would you like to share anything? You can you can pass, or you can tell us what us what you've been doing this summer.
What I've been doing this summer.
Yeah. Have you been working? Have you
Oh
been-
yeah, I got a new job at McDonald's, and
Okay.
it's great. I've been eating all the burgers from there.
So which McDonald's?
The one at Road 68.
Road 68.
Yeah.
Good for you.
All right.
Good for you.
And
Somebody on this board really likes, is it ice cream, I think? At McDonald's? So-
Yeah, well, I can prepare it.
Pointing fingers.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Thank you, Jesus.
Well, hello everyone. This is a new experience for me, so I really look forward to speaking to all you guys this year. Just applying alone for this position was a remarkable experience. I'm really glad I applied for it. I did not know exactly what I was getting into until I came in, witnessed some of the meetings, two meetings, the last two, and talking to the former reps, and I'm glad they're here today supporting us. Thank you so much. It's been incredible. I really look forward to going to or being here at all the meetings, and I've been invited to two events. So tomorrow's graduation for the New Horizons graduates, and to lunch on next week. So I look forward to that, and thank you.
So, since we last met, excuse me, I had the privilege of swearing in our new superintendent. And so it's official now. It's been official for nearly a month. And right after she got sworn in, this was like 2 hours, she left on vacation for a week. So pretty good work to vacation ratio there for the first week anyway. On the 15th and 16th, I think it was the 15th and 16th of this month, Friday and Saturday, I sit on the WASDA Legislative Committee and had the opportunity to go and meet with them again as we're finalizing our recommendations for the upcoming Legislative Assembly that will be voted on by all the school districts to set our priorities and our positions for the upcoming legislative session, which is, I think, as I said last time, is going to prove to be an interesting and important session for school funding. I think McCleary's going to come to a head this session, and hopefully we can get some good direction coming out of WASDA. And I would encourage my fellow board members, if you're able to be at the upcoming Legislative Assembly. It's an opportunity to see how things are going from a legislative perspective from WASDA. This will be in Spokane, and it's, I think, the third weekend. It's a Friday and Saturday, third weekend in September. And then last night, I had the opportunity to go to the forum sponsored by the League of Education Voters for our upcoming race for state superintendent, and met I think there was 5 of the candidates there last night, and I'm not going to tell you who I think is most impressive, but I think it is important that we educate ourselves on who those candidates are and the different things that they will do, and make an informed vote. This is an important season coming up for elections in general, but in this case, we do get an opportunity to vote for a state superintendent of public instruction. So I just encourage you to learn about them and cast a vote.
So I'm excited for Ms. Whitney's report on 9A today, talking about the board governance that we've been working on as a board. We've been holding retreats over the past year, and coming out of those retreats, there's been several themes that have been echoed multiple times, and we as a board decided to change the way we do governance, and we want to focus on customer service. We want district staff to be able to be innovative and not afraid to try new things, not afraid to fail at trying new things. And as an entity, we want to make sure that the district staff and the board also is is a entity that's always seeking continuous improvement and also continuous feedback, I think. And finally, we want to be results oriented. And so as a board, as we're making these operational expectations that Ms. Whitney is going to summarize in her presentation here, but we've also set high-level student achievement goals for the district. And each of those student achievements, and we'll roll those out at another time, but they'll have benchmarks. And I think that this governance policy, along with the goals for the district for student achievement that we've set and Ms. Whitney will implement, are really going to help both how we operate and also we'll see the results in student achievement. It might take a little bit of time, but I think, you know, in the next couple of years, we'll look back and say, well, that's great stuff. We'll see the numbers climbing, and it will be results oriented. So, long story, but I wanted to thank district staff in advance for their willingness to try new things, new ways of doing business. I wanted to thank the district staff that have been part of this and will be part of this as we roll this out in the next few months to a few years, and hope that everyone's willing to try new things, be innovative, not be afraid to fail. And I just wanted to challenge the students here, the new students that we have, also to be innovative in trying new things and in expanding the involvement of your fellow students. So as our other student out here mentioned, we have 3 schools represented by student board reps this year. But I want you guys to be innovative, and I know you're nervous today, but you know, over the next couple months as you talk here, you'll find your voice. You guys won't be nervous. So think of ways that you can advocate and talk to other students and help their voice be heard as we as a board discuss issues and make decisions so that you can expand the student voice for us. So thank you.
Thank you, President Lehrman. We appreciate that. I wanted to do a little bit of acknowledging tonight, and anytime you start acknowledging people, there's always an opportunity to leave people out. So please know that these acknowledgments are a sampling of the phenomenal things that are going on over the summer. First, I wanted to start by acknowledging Kristen Blair, who is the leadership attached to our Nutrition Services Department. They recently participated in an OSPI audit, and based on the audit, they are going to be nominated in what OSPI calls the In the Works Best Practice Resource Guide as a school district to follow our practices around nutritional services procedure and policy implementation. So certainly a kudos to her and her team and Mr. Nunemaker as the leadership of that department. We appreciate your efforts on that behalf, and we look forward to seeing Pasco School District in that best practices resource guide. So it's very exciting for us. I also wanted to acknowledge some of the professional development that has been going on over the summer. As you know, we are in the middle of implementing our new curriculum materials, and our curriculum professional development started this summer in June with what was called a Jumpstart training that was focused on the standards, and it was in partnership with Washington Education Association. There were 300 teachers at Ochoa Middle School for 3 days of training, and I received an email from Scott Poirier, who was the leadership at WEA that we work closely with, who said that the model went so well that they're hoping that they can replicate that kind of partnership and integration together in other parts of the state. So a huge kudos to our teachers and our district staff, our building staff in what was a phenomenal 3 days for those teachers. We then have just finished up a 10-day training, or it was really a training/workshop around what's called rigorous curriculum design. And that process is getting us to the consistency and fidelity of implementation that the board has been tasked us as a district to moving toward. And it is a creation of the curriculum guides that go along with the curriculum materials. A comprehensive curriculum management system includes curriculum materials, but it also has these foundational blueprints that help teachers pick the best parts of the product that we are consumers of to meet the needs of our students. So we had 170 teachers for 10 days, really with sleeves rolled up in what is very complicated, intensive work for 10 days. Suzanne Hall is in the room. She was a leadership attached to that, as well as support from virtually the entire curriculum PD department under Mr. Bull's leadership. So we appreciated that as well. Many of those teachers were at the 3 days, finished the 10 days, and were at the Red Lion. 50 of our teachers were at the Red Lion starting a 5-day training integrating the ELD standards into that curriculum guide. So those 3 trainings I wanted to highlight as, again, a sampling of the many things that are happening this summer in support of student achievement in our district. And then lastly, I wanted to acknowledge our STEM Summer School. We have 400 students participating in our STEM Summer School this summer at 3 sites. And Megan Nelson, I wanted to compliment her with her district level leadership. And then again, there's building staff and teachers and students and parents all attached to that as well. So lots of great things happening in Pasco that we're very proud of.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to reports and discussion. 9A, we have board governance presented by Ms. Michelle Whitney.
You have to start on page 1 of the presentation, right? So good evening, Board President Lehrman, members of the board. I am here tonight to focus on our board governance work. This work started as a book study that started in the summer of 2015, and the development of this board governance model was assigned to me as part of the task in my transition plan. So started with a book study and then continued through a variety of various retreats for the board, and is culminating with a series of 3 presentations around the board governance model. So tonight the focus will really be kind of a high-level overview of the components of the work, and then the next 2 presentations will be more of an application piece of that work. The coherent governance, and in the book Good Governance is a Choice, is really the gold standard for school boards in terms of a governance model. So this is very exciting work that, again, like President Lehrman said, is going to have far-reaching benefits for our district. So again, we started with board retreats. In the summer of 2015, we read a book called Good Governance is a Choice by Randy Quinn and Linda J. Dawson. And then again, through the school year 2015-16, we had a series of board retreats that started the development and implementation of the model. The coherence governance model is really a series of policies that creates a values-based governance system that integrates the community's values into the way that we structure decision-making opportunities and the way that guidance is given to staff. It's results-focused and it's service-oriented. The focus really is around the board being acknowledged as the trustee of the school district on behalf of the community. And it starts with identification of the owners and or clients of a school district. You as a board identified for our community that the owners of our school district is the community and that our clients are our students. Student achievement and the effectiveness.
I do have to say, I think we said it's the students and their families.
Thank you for that clarification. The student achievement and effectiveness of the school district is around producing results that are defined by the board. And President Lehrman talked about those as well. So this graphic represents how the model works, and I wanted to provide just an overview of how all of the pieces fit together, and then in the next slides I'll provide some more details around the pieces. So again, the model starts with the definition of the owners and clients, and the board's role is to interface with the owners and clients of the district, and then filter the owners and clients' feedback, their values, their input, to what the book talks about as the CEO or the superintendent. The board has a set of governance policies that are the framework for which the board does its work. It's kind of how the board interacts, how they conduct business. And then the CEO and the board have a set of what are called board and CEO relationship policies. So the way that the board and the CEO interact together, what duties are assigned to in this case, the superintendent, and what roles and responsibilities are assigned to the board are defined within those policies. Then the board takes the values of the community and applies it to what are called operational expectations. And this is the core of the policy making that helps empower district staff to do, as President Lehrman mentioned, and that's be creative, innovative, and proactive and empowered within their designated line of authority. So by clearly understanding the board's expectations around broad categories of functions, our staff can be empowered to try new things, to make decisions, and be assured that those actions align with the values of the board, and by proxy then, the values of the community. Then lastly, the model represents or talks about owner-client results policies, and those are the policies that President Lehrman identified and will be a large focus of the third presentation around measurable outcomes that we would expect to see in a school district. And those then really become the framework for decision-making and initiative planning for a district. So digging a little deeper into each of the kinds of policies, again, we talked about board governance policies. Those are they clearly state the expected norms around individual and collective behavior of the board. And it provides a process for the board to assess its own performance. So we are a learning institution as a board. Our board does self-assessments on a yearly basis. Just like as teachers, we assess ourselves. As a superintendent, we assess ourselves on our performance. The board's CEO policies define the complementary relationship and the role of the board and what the book refers to as the CEO or superintendent. And it clarifies again, those roles. So that clarity represented in these policies is really the glue that holds this policy together. So the board provides direction to the CEO or superintendent, and then my job then is to implement the board's vision in providing leadership with district staff. The operational expectations, this particular chunk of policies will largely be the focus of my second presentation. And it outlines and again provides that framework for district staff to be creative. The theme for district staff has been to be, how do we create conditions where we can be innovative, proactive, and empowered in their own line of authority and expertise. And they, while encouraging creativity and proactivity, also assures consistency and fidelity and efficiency in policies and practices, while again meeting the board's expectations and in turn the community's. Results policies drive all organizational focuses and decisions, and they're really the answer to the question, as a result of our efforts, student will. So by us focusing on a certain initiative or implementing a certain policy, we believe students will X. So if we institute early learning, for example, that would help us get to, along with other mechanisms for support along the way, will help us get to the board's goal of 100% of our third graders reading on grade level in their language of instruction. So as I said, this presentation, the purpose really was to give a high-level overview of what the model looks like and what its intended purpose. The next series, or the two in the series of three, will focus on taking a deeper dive into those operational expectations. I will provide a small kind of cameo into what that looks like. So tonight, immediately following my presentation, you'll have a presentation focused on customer service where a team of folks will talk about the launching and implementation of a school district app that includes a tip line or a reporting mechanism. One of the board's operational expectations is around communication with stakeholders, and part of the expectation of the board and the community is that we create mechanisms for concerns to be addressed at the lowest level, and that anyone in the organization should be able to bring a concern forward without the fear of retaliation. So what the tip line offers is an opportunity for people to submit concerns anonymously. So based on the operational expectations that the board has set, we are already implementing and using those operational expectations to inform decisions that we're making. So there's an example of how this model connects. So I'll go into deeper connection around that piece at our next meeting. Can I answer any questions?
This is huge. This is direction changing for our district, and so we applaud the efforts. We applaud the support we've received from the district in these changes that many of us have wanted for quite some time. So we're excited. We're excited to where it's going, and the direction of more open communication, a better website, better ways to get information out to the parents and receive information from the parents, as well as just better being more results oriented, and that's huge because before it was implement this. Now it's implement this for this result. Michelle, when will we have our outrageous outcomes? Are we going to have a presentation for the board?
I'll integrate those outrageous outcomes into the third.
Okay.
When we do results policy, I'll integrate those into that.
We've
presentation.
We've tweaked the strategic plan a little bit. We've left all of the things in there, but we have put them under 5 main goals for our whole district, which is huge too, because they're going to be very defined and hopefully every single teacher. Right now, I don't think any teacher in the district can name the 5 areas that our current strategic plan is, but these are going to be very clear, very plain, and very straightforward, and yet our strategic plan that so many in the community had input on fit really nicely under each of these major goals that are very easy. So there's just lots of really exciting things happening along with and it's perfect going along with our new curriculum and to make things really results based. It's just going to be awesome. We're really excited for it.
Ms. Phillips said something that reminded me, none of the 5 of us up here mentioned this during communications, but all 5 of us, all 5 board members individually met for an hour or maybe more with an ESD member who is doing a external audit or external look at our website communication. And we were able to give input on things we'd like to see improved. So she's going to put all that together, and we'll probably be soliciting input from the community on that as well, with a look at that, having up-to-date, relevant, pertinent information, with continuous feedback, not just from the board, but from the community on what we need to have on there in order to be efficient communicators with the community. Next we have, actually, you know what? I'm going to open it up. What I said, Miss Whitney can sit down. We'll open it up to the, thank you for the work that she and her team have done. Thank you to the board for helping set this direction, and we'll open it up for any questions or comments from the community. All right, with no questions or comments, we will move on to agenda item 9B, focus on customer service.
So as part of the transition last year, I launched a very extensive, what I called listening tour, and there were some themes that came out of the conversations that I had with community stakeholders, and part of that has informed the direction of the board in terms of a focus on customer service. So tonight is the first in probably a series of board presentations that will outline initiatives that are meant or designed to move us toward that customer service focus. So with that, Ms. Cole.
Good evening, President Lerman, Superintendent Whitney, and members of the board. Tonight we are excited to share information about our new Pasco School District app. I'm honored to be joined by my colleagues, Director of Information Systems Mark Garrett, who will talk about the data that will be integrated into the app, and Safety and Risk Manager Aubrey Pitzer, who will share information about our new tip line, which will also be integrated into the app. I would like to begin with a brief overview of this exciting new customer service tool, which will be available for Pasco families in the 2016-17 school year. So why an app for Pasco now? We had previously researched apps, but found them limited in their ability to integrate data. We did not want to provide an app for Pasco families that would be all show and no substance. Then in 2015, SchoolWires, our website provider, merged with Blackboard. This merger brought the best of two school technology companies together to a central source. Not only can we expand to provide a mobile app, but we can offer an entire suite of services within the app. Oh. Thanks, Mark. There. Thanks. Yeah. Now parents can go to one source to check everything from student grades to lunch menus and more. We can use the app as a social media management system and send out mass notifications via our new app. On the back end, we will be able to manage and monitor communications in a way that was not possible before. We can push one consistent message onto our social media, web, and mobile app platforms simultaneously. We can target emergency communications to parents across the district or to just one school. We will also have the capability to easily track data to more fully understand where and how families are accessing information. And now I'd like to introduce Director of Information Systems, Mark Garrett, who will share more information about that data integration.
All right. Thank you, Leslie. I get to do the cool part, all the student-related information. So one of the most powerful features of the new mobile app is the centralization of all this great information. So for families, this means one location to view grades, attendance, schedules, busing, all kinds of great information. Historically, this information was either not available or in several different locations that just wasn't convenient to access. Another benefit of having this information in the app is that it will help drive adoption. So this is valuable information. This is information that our families want. Once we explain that this is included in the app, this will help get downloads of the app. Moving forward, this app and then the PowerSchool Parent Portal will be the two locations that we centralize information, student-related information for our families. So trying to bring it all into nice, succinct area for our families. So the application can be downloaded from the Apple or Android stores. When launching the app, you see that center screen there. The top of the screen is the top stories, and this is pulled directly from our website. So you'll see it, this story, it may still be up there, but it is a recent story on our website, which is great because this means our public affairs team doesn't need to maintain content within the app. Essentially, this app is going out to all of our different areas that we post content, bringing it in and presenting it in a really nice format for our families. Below the top stories is the activity stream. The activity stream is very cool. It goes and grabs all of our social media content and it puts it into one location. So you'll see things like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all located in this central stream. Another great feature is that families can choose to follow certain schools. So they'll only see content that is posted or about their school. So this makes the content that they're reading relevant to them. The district also has the ability to send notifications to families within this app, and that's that notifications on the bottom right there. So this adds one more line of communication with our families. Typically, when sending out a mass notification, we would send a phone, email, text, and hopefully one of those got to the families. Well, this is going to go directly to everyone that has downloaded and installed that app on their phone. So they'll get a ping, a message, kind of like they do with a text message, but it'll be within the app. Another cool feature about the notifications is that parents can set student achievement related notifications. so they can elect to be informed when their student's grade drops below, say, a B or a C. The app will notify them. So a good way to keep parents informed and involved. I see a lot of smirking.
Does that work for when they don't turn their homework in as well, or just grades?
That's a good segue. I'll have it in like 2 slides. I'll have something on that. So, yes,
I'm
that
already
is.
excited about this.
It's pretty neat.
What, Mr. Garrett, is it Blackboard Suite? Is that the name of the app, or what's the name of it?
You'll be able to. Our families will be able to go to the Android or Apple store and just search Pasco School District, and it'll be branded Pasco School District, and they'll download it. This isn't the final makeup of the app. We're still going to put our colors and logos on it. This is just a prototype. So this is a second screen. When swiping to the left or right, it's set up very similar to mobile phones, any iPhone or Android phone. Has those home screens, you swipe left to right, and then it has several tiles that serve particular purposes. And actually, this is one of the reasons why we picked this, is because it looks very familiar. The learning curve, there won't have to be any, or there'll need to be minimal training, so the learning curve for families will be minimal. I mentioned the ability for parents to get certain types of information, student-related information, and the majority, I'm going to show you a couple of slides of what that looks like, screenshots. Majority of the information is coming from our student information system, PowerSchool, but we've also gone in and grabbed other pieces of information. We're going to use the Banks family as an example. We have Will, Carlton, and Ashley. I think they go to the Bel Air School District. Parents can, we had some flashbacks, good flashbacks when we reviewed it earlier. I even thought about putting some music on. No, that won't work. So parents can add their student, all of their students in by simply typing in a username and password, and this username and password will be distributed at the beginning of the school year, along with instructions on how to download the application. So when you click into one of those students, you can see we're looking at Will, and there's a bunch of information here about assignments, attendance, classes, etc. So selecting one of those, that's the upcoming assignments. And what it does is it's going into the teacher's grade book, and it's grabbing all that information and presenting it in a nicely formatted way for the parents to read it, and it shows the due date there. What's great is this requires no additional work from our teachers. All this information is in the grade book already. We're just going behind the scenes and scraping that out and presenting it in a nicely formatted way. Missing assignments is another. You saw that option on the menu. Missing assignments is another option. If the deadline passes, a grade hasn't been awarded, then it'll show up on the missing assignments queue. It's another great way for families to stay involved and participate in their students' learning.
So you talked about ties into the student data. Is all the district information, does that require additional programming, or is that all linked into the district website?
Can you clarify what district information? Was it earlier in the presentation?
Like top,
That,
a
right
couple
there.
top stories,
Top
activity
stories and all
stream,
the social media
calendar,
feeds.
all that stuff. Yeah.
Everything, like I mentioned, this app is essentially an aggregator. So we already produce a ton of content This is going and grabbing it and putting it in a nice, succinct format for people to consume. So when we post something on the district website, on that top stories section, the app automatically gets updated and it feeds into the app. Same with the RS, or the activity stream, essentially just feeds from our Facebook into that. So it's nice for maintenance and administration of the app, as well as the families.
Yeah, this gives helicopter parenting a whole new definition.
Yeah, the student reps are like, no, I'm not for this.
Kids
But
put
you
these-
can also look at your
Yeah,
attendance.
our kids
Yeah.
can put these apps on their
They
phones
can.
too.
Yep,
Okay.
they can.
Uh,
Anyone can.
Will the app be replacing Power School?
It won't. Good question. It won't. Power School, it does a lot of things. It schedules all of our students into their classes. It handles your transcripts, historical grades. All we're doing is going and plucking little pieces of information from Power School and putting it in this app.
And what's the difference between the information the student gets and the parent gets?
So it's going to actually be the exact same information. So complete transparency between parent and student.
Will they be able to, so a parent makes a username, an ID or something, and who will link their students up to them? How does that happen?
We are doing that on the back end. So we're compiling all that information, and then we're attaching that username and password to it. And so that will be the way we're picturing it is all that information that goes home with students at the beginning of the year. They'll be here, this is how you download it, and in order to view your student information, make sure you put in your username and password. And there'll be a username and password for we're trying to make it so there's just one per family, but there's a lot of complexity behind that.
So just a question on this, Mark, while we're here.
Sure.
This goes into Power School and gets information automatically. This isn't another exercise that teachers are going to have to do to put that information on.
Correct. No, we're essentially utilizing all the information that we currently have and just trying to make it more accessible. So attendance is another option. You can view attendance for your students. We currently we have a robocall, automatic call that goes out every night for any unexcused absence. However, in the app, we have excused absence, unexcused, and also tardies. So there's a lot of information in that app as well. Library information, if there's a balance due for any library fines or fees, that'll display here, as well as any books checked out by the student. And then lastly, busing information, pickup, drop-off times, location, and it's displayed in a nice map format. And then I mentioned trying to centralize information into this app and into Power School Parent Portal. And one of the great features of this app is that we can link to external resources. One that we've already done is the tip line, the Safe Schools Alert. And this is just a website, but within the app, if you click it, the website comes up and you stay within the app. So it's as if it's a part of the app. It's a native experience. It's very intuitive. So the user isn't jumping around to different windows. It's very nice. And I mentioned the Safe Schools Alert. We're going to be launching that this fall, and Aubrey Pitzer, our district safety and risk manager, is going to walk you through that system and explain how that system works.
All right, thank you, Mark. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about Safe Schools with you guys tonight. Safe Schools is a suite of online services targeted to meet the safety and health needs of districts. So currently, the Pasco School District is utilizing Safe Schools training to provide computer-based training to employees across the district. And so we're now in the process of working with the Safe Schools team to implement their tip line service called Safe Schools Alert. So tonight I'm just going to be sharing a high-level overview with you guys of what to expect from this system and how it works. All right. So Safe Schools Alert is a non-emergency incident management system that allows students, staff, community members, and parents an opportunity to confidentially and really easily escalate any concerns or tips that they might have to the district. It is available 24/7, so it's accessible all the time. And similar to an IT help desk ticket system, tips that are submitted automatically get converted into a ticket or are queued so that the correct district administrator can then process and respond to the concern that was raised. Modules that are available to us include Washington State-specific HIB reporting, a module for safety-specific concerns, a general concern or tip module, and then one to send kudos to people within the district. So how it works, again, I mentioned tips can be created by anybody, and there are 4 options available to a tip creator to submit their tip. The first is a website portal that's been optimized for mobile devices. It can be integrated, like Mark mentioned, into our mobile app and also into the district's existing website. There is a phone number, a local phone number that we're issued through Safe Schools Alert that can receive text messages. So if a person has a tip, they can quickly plug in that phone number, snap a picture, send in their tip, and it automatically gets queued into the system. There's also an email address set up for our district so that people could email in their tip or their concern. And then utilizing that same phone number for the text messages, a person also has the option to actually call and leave a recorded message that then gets transferred into the queue for review by the ticket managers. Based on the type of tip that is created and the medium or the method that is selected by the tip creator, they will be prompted to provide certain pieces of information. So it may ask you what school or district building is this tip related to, which will help the system and the district know who to push the ticket to manage. So once a tip creator submits their tip, they receive a unique access code. So similar to when you ship something with FedEx, you get your tracking number, and you can go on to this Safe Schools Alert webpage and actually track the status of the tip that you've created. And this is really beneficial for a tip creator who is electing to be anonymous when they submit their tip, because they can still follow up and provide additional information. And it gives ticket managers the opportunity to actually follow up with the tip creator. So perhaps a ticket manager needs some additional information that wasn't provided in the initial tip. They can go back and then continue that communication without having to provide any identifying information. So on the administrative side then, this is just a snapshot of what your ticket managers would be looking at. So again, I mentioned based on the parameters set by the district, different tips will get queued into the administrative side for resolution. So for example, the district may elect to push all safety-related tips to me, and maybe all of our harassment, intimidation, and bullying tips to our district's HIB coordinator. The benefit in this is that the right person gets the tip very quickly at the right time, and we're cutting back on the lag time between the tip being submitted and it getting to the right person.
Sorry, you might have said this, I might have missed it. If someone submits an anonymous tip and you don't have, not you, the administrator doesn't have enough information, they can respond back, but they won't know that it'll go to a encrypted address or something, but the person who submitted the tip will get the question back to them or not?
Yeah, so that's probably one of the limitations of the system, is that because their tip creator is not providing any contact information, the only way that they would know that we're communicating back would be to go out to the website to plug in their code and check the status of the tip on their own, but that's where they would see it.
Is there a feature like you can encrypt it and just respond back, but you don't know who you're responding back to, and it goes through the filter, or that's not available? Do you know, Mark? Not currently, okay.
For a ticket manager, once the ticket is queued or the tip is queued as a ticket, they're going to get an email notification, which is really beneficial because it streamlines the process for ticket managers. We're all very busy, and it's really tough to have to go into a system to start checking the status and processing these tips. But ticket managers actually will receive this. They can easily prioritize the tip, and simply by responding to the email from their email box, they can perform a lot of the functions necessary to manage the tip without having to go into the actual system. So it makes it a very user-friendly feature for the ticket managers that are utilizing this system. This is another view of the administrative side, and I wanted to highlight just a couple things for you. Actions can be documented in a couple different fields by ticket managers and tracked to completion, which is very beneficial just to see how we're performing and how we're delivering to our stakeholders. Tickets can be linked to other tickets to draw connections where we may have a trend or we're having similar reports about the same issue. We can link them all together so that we can start seeing the bigger picture within the tips that are being submitted. And that red box at the bottom of your screen is the area that a tip manager or the ticket manager would use to communicate with the tip creator. So they could type in their response, "Thank you for submitting your tip, we've received it," and that would be posted. And when the ticket creator or the tip creator goes online, this would be the response that they would see from the district using that unique access code. There are also some reporting features available to the district so that we can see trends within schools or areas or content areas to really start seeing where we may have some opportunities within the district. Another feature of Safe Schools Alert is the ability to integrate different widgets within our internal web page. This helps really create a clean interface for our users so they're not being bounced around from different programs or websites. And so I wanted to just share with you guys an example of how the Bellevue School District has integrated Safe Schools Alert onto their internal web page. You can see it has a very similar look and feel to everything else on their district web page. And so we're in the process right now of working with our public affairs department to achieve a similar look and feel within the Pasco School District's website. So I just wanted to summarize on some of the key benefits. Most importantly, the system gets tips to the right person at the right time. It provides multiple reporting options, which is a really customer-focused thing for the tip creators. It gives people the flexibility to report in a method that is comfortable and convenient for them. It's a free service to our district as a member of Washington Schools Risk Management Pool, so there's no added cost to the district to implement this service. It's always accessible, and it facilitates that communication with tip creators even if they elect to remain anonymous when they're submitting a tip or a concern. And currently, there are 77 districts across Washington state that are already implementing and using the Safe Schools Alert system. So now I'd like to turn it back over to Leslie, and she's going to talk a little bit more about our timeline and the implementation plan.
Can I just make a quick comment? Thank you for the presentation. I like this seems like a great tool. We have a similar program at work, and the challenges that I can see or the things that I think will be the key to implementation of this is most importantly the timeliness and appropriateness of a response. So this is all, okay, it's reported, but communicating back with the reporter who, that generic, we have passed this along to the appropriate administrator, well, that's going to be maddening unless the person knows who's my contact now. Is it the principal of my school? Is it the vice principal? Is it a district administrator? So knowing who's dealing with it and then receiving a timely response, how it was dealt with, because that's the complaint I've heard from people that, I met with so-and-so, expressed a concern, it's been 3 weeks, nothing's been done as far as I can tell, nothing was ever reported back to me. So it's simply a tool, but the key element of it is our response, the timeliness and appropriateness of the response. So hopefully we can carry that out appropriately.
Yeah, and we're working with some other districts right now to learn from how they have implemented this at their district so that we can kind of take away some of those best practices as we develop our ways of working within the system.
Can you choose to be anonymous or known?
Mm-hmm.
So you can, if I have a concern and I want people to know it's Amy Phillips, then that would go through.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate what you just said about using best practices, and you guys are researching that. And we don't always need to reinvent the wheel. There's usually somebody doing a good job of everything somewhere. So I appreciate that you guys are looking at Bellevue and whatever other districts you think have good practices and implementing what you can there. So thank you.
So I just, here's our timeline, and I just want to let you know that the process of building this app and integrating all of this data would normally take several months to complete. But we've been working on an expedited timeline since June with the Blackboard SchoolWires team, which has been great. So we can have this important new communications tool ready for this school year. Turning months into weeks would not have been possible without the support of Mark and his team, specifically Data Systems Manager Chris Mardian, who has been instrumental in the data integration. And I would like to thank them and also Aubrey for bringing the Safe Schools piece to our app, which I think is going to make it even more meaningful. We'll be spending the next few weeks completing and testing the app as we prepare for a mid-August release date. In the meantime, we'll be developing some training materials that will help families get started as soon as the app is available. Mark and I are going to work together on some written instructions, and the public affairs team is going to work on an instructional video. And we'll continue to build the safety web page to get those widgets on to fully integrate that Safe Schools piece into our communications, and we'll also develop new materials to announce and promote this exciting communications tool. So we're super excited, and we hope you are too, and can we answer any other questions for you?
Okay, so Steve and I went to this thing in February. That was a conference that we saw something really similar. We were so excited about it. And we were told, don't worry about it. We're in the process. So we wanted something like this for a while. And I was just really impressed that you guys were already in the process of doing something like this. So I'm excited about it. I think it's fabulous. I did have a question about, like you said that the kids would get the same as you. So will there be a family number and a child's password so that one of my children don't get all of the information for all of my children?
Can you repeat the question, please? Sorry.
I just was wondering about, for parents to have multiple children in the school district, you said that they get a family password. I'm assuming there's a family password and then there's a password for each child, so that when the child logs in, they don't see what all their brothers and sisters are doing?
Correct.
Okay, just want to make sure on that.
Yep.
I think this is great. My thoughts on the mobile app, when it pulls content, then the content that it pulls has to be updated. And I think this goes along really well with the website that we had the opportunity to meet with this external auditor or whatever from ESD. And one of the main things that the takeaways I gave her was that, we need to get the community's input because the 5 of us don't know how everyone uses the website. And so I'm fairly confident that she's going to do that. I don't want to commit their timeline, but that was one of my main things, and hopefully the other board members expressed a similar concern that we want to know what the parents and teachers and how everyone uses the website and how it can be better. That's going to take more time, obviously, where this is ready to go and exciting. I always think... Yeah,
if I can interrupt for a moment, we actually have an audit process underway right now of the communications department, and part of that is just what you're talking about, getting input from the community on different pieces of our communication and doing some surveys with the community and some in-depth interviews with some individuals. The process that you went through with the ESD was really in advance of the larger project that we're undergoing this summer. We're working with Strategies 360 out of Seattle.
That's exciting. That was a great meeting. They were individuals, so I have no idea how the other board members did, but that's exactly what she said. This is the first. We're interviewing board members, and we're getting similar information from the district. So I really appreciate you going through this communications audit.
Well, I think we're really excited about having some actual data and research to base our decisions on rather than anecdotal information.
It makes it easier, doesn't it? That's going to solve lots of problems. I was just wondering then, you said that there's going to be a training video, probably post on the district. Are they going to do something at back to school nights to really promote this and maybe even have some things that because I'm just looking at, I won't have a problem with this app, but if you gave it to my mom would be like, this is Greek. And I can't think that there aren't some parents that are way better at me and way worse than me at
Well,
that
that's why we're
technology.
developing the video and some written instructions. We'll make those available in every way that we can.
Will we have a
We're not
go-to
quite to that
person?
point yet. We need to kind of get it up and going, and so that we know how to instruct people to use it. But again, as Mark said, it's very intuitive. It's very, it's very much like any other thing you would encounter on a smartphone. So I think that it will be, that people will pick it up pretty easily.
I have a question. So if Safe School Alert part of the app?
That's exactly what we want you to think. So it actually, yeah. So we did a good job. It's a separate system, but I mentioned the app is really good at hiding that and centralizing it. So it's as if it's part of the app, but you can access the Safe Schools Alert if you don't have the app. You can go to the website. There'll be posters and things like that in our schools advertising how to text in, call in, email, things like that.
So anybody can download the app though, right?
Correct.
So
correct.
how exactly safe is that? So anybody can receive notifications about bus routes or whatever other notifications are there. So unless you have a username or like specific things like grades, how exactly safe is the app?
It is very safe. So the only way that you're going to get notifications is if you add students into that app, and you need the username and password in order to add student information into the app. Otherwise, you just get this type of information here. You have directory information, which is available on our website. You have superintendent information. You have some resources, which again is available on our website.
And for the Safe School, anybody can post something?
Yes. Yes.
But it's not a public posting, it's a private message, so no one.
Yeah, so I understand the whole interaction, like it's pretty explanatory, but how the interaction part, but if somebody's anonymous, how do you take action on it? Like, let's say there's so many posts about, or not posts, but tips or complaints about bullying, well, and somebody doesn't want to come through, how exactly do you take action upon that?
I'd say it's similar to if we get an anonymous tip now. We do our best to research it and find where that's occurring and try to rectify it. But the good thing is that, we have, this is a two-way, the Safe Schools Alert, it's a two-way, it allows two-way dialogue. So it's not just someone giving us a tip on a voicemail. It's two-way dialogue that we can actually, if we need more information, we can encourage the person to give us more information so we can actually take action. Good questions.
Thanks. That's it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Call, Ms. Garrett, and Ms. Pitzer for that update. Is there any questions or comments from the community?
Thank you so much for all that you've done in getting this streamlined. We just want to tell you how grateful we are. I want to tell you how grateful I am for all you've done with this. This is going to be phenomenal.
You go ahead and please address the microphone or approach the microphone if you'd like to make a comment. Not that we can't hear you. We know you have a loud voice probably, but we want to catch it for anybody watching in the future.
Okay, I was just curious for teachers, are we going to be able to put apps for our kids to see on that as well, so we can link those in, like Dreambox or Dojo?
That's actually an awesome. That's a great idea, because there's that, I was going to pull it up, I already closed it. There's a resources section for students and staff and parents in that app. So, yep, that's a great suggestion.
And if anyone needs the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme song, I know it in my head. starts out now. This is a story all about. I'll sing it to you after, but probably not now.
Dr. Richardson, I was thinking our student board reps probably don't 100% understand the reference.
For you.
They should,
Do you guys know the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Yeah.
A little bit.
I don't know if I should say sadly or not.
Any other audience comments? All right, next we'll move on to action items. We have action item 10A.
Thank you, Board President Mr. Lehrman, Superintendent Whitney, board members. Tonight, the district brings before you two resolutions. The first is to obtain board approval of resolution number 927, designating signature authority for Michelle Whitney, Glenda Cloud, Sarah Thornton, and Howard Roberts on Elementary School 16 project and Curie Classroom Edition. This Washington School Construction Administration Program provides funding assistance to districts that are undertaking new construction or facilities modernization. The state application process for funding, which is called the D-form process, requires districts to take certain steps through that process. This resolution is one of those steps. So at this time, we'd ask for the board's approval.
So to clarify it, and I don't know if we can add information to this background section, this is for the upcoming bond is the reason we need this information.
That's correct.
Can we put some words in there to clarify the reason on the bond?
On the resolution?
No, in the background information. We'll still adopt the resolution, but just on this cover sheet for when someone picks it up. Is that?
We can't modify information in the board packet, specifically after it's already been presented to the board in the meeting tonight, because you've got that document in front of you. But what we could do is clarify that in the minutes of the meeting, and make sure that that's related to the action.
Any discussion by the board? Open for a motion?
I move, go ahead. Mr. President, I move to approve Resolution 927, authorizing Michelle Whitney, Glenda Cloud, Sarah Thornton, and Howard Roberts Jr. to serve as school district authorized agents for the Pasco School District, Elementary School 16, and Curie Classroom Edition projects.
I'll
All right. All right, so I've got a question. Is this so we can begin A&E? What is the purpose of this?
Yeah, this is part of the process with the A&E. What it will do is it'll allow us to, when we get to the bond vote in February, is that all these D-form processes have to be in place up to that point. We have to have all that done so that once the bond is passed, then we can move forward right into the construction phase, the bidding and construction phase. So these are those, we're taking those first steps through this process.
Yeah, I know there's quite a few sections to this D form, right?
That's correct.
So have we had a resolution to start A&E already? And are we in that process?
The actual A&E process, that was approved from the 2013 bond. That was already approved to do A&E for future projects.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So that was already approved. That was actually approved during the last bond by the board at that time.
So have we begun that process of? The reason I'm asking, I think it would be helpful in this upcoming bond if we have something that we can show what our intent is, what our expectation is. Just like a architect's rendering of this would be the school and this is kind of how it's going to look on this property. I've not seen anything like that. I'm just wondering how soon something like that could be available.
That'll be coming up very shortly. That is exactly right now. The architect has been. We've actually done an RFP. We got information on qualifications from A&E firms. The Capital Projects Department has selected an A&E firm that was Design West, and they will be putting together that information, and they will be doing the the board displays that you're talking about.
Okay.
That will be in process.
All right, thank you.
And is the reason, so there's only 2 of the project listed, but we have more projects on the bond than just these 2. Is it because these are the first projects, or will there be a separate resolution for additional projects?
Yes, at each one of the projects that will require a state match will have to have these resolutions.
Okay, so I guess that's a good question. So what about, we talked about Stevens on a bond. Are we going to have anything like a architect's rendering of what that project would look like?
Absolutely. Once we start the A&E process for Stevens, that will happen. The reason we're doing this now for the elementary 16 and Curie is because these are the projects that we've talked about having front funded.
Right.
Okay, and then we'll be asking for that, of course, the Stevens and also the Chiawana classrooms. Those will receive state match also. When we start the A&E process on that, then we will go ahead and do that with the, out of the 2017 bond.
But we can get architect's rendering of what the expectation is of those facilities before we start running, or before the bond is passed, right? I mean, certainly we can say this is what the Stevens
Sure,
project
conceptual
will look like.
drawings is what you're thinking of, I
Yes.
think. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So there's a motion. Did I hear a second?
Yes.
There's a motion and a second to approve Resolution 927, authorizing Michelle Whitney, Glenda Cloud, Sarah Thornton, and Howard Roberts Jr. to serve as school district authorized agents for the Pasco School District Elementary School 16 and Curie Classroom Addition projects. We had discussion. Any additional debate? With no additional debate, we'll have Ms. Smith call the roll.
Mr. Christensen?
Yes.
Dr. Richardson?
Yes.
Ms. Rankin?
Yes.
Mr. Lehrman?
Yes.
Mrs. Phillips?
Yes.
All right, next we have motion carries. Next we have action item number 10B.
Thank you. And for the second resolution, this is to obtain board approval of Resolution 928 that states that no excess facility space exists in neighboring districts. OSPI Facilities requires a district to survey neighboring districts to determine if there were available facilities the district could use in lieu of building. This resolution is required to apply for state matching construction funding. 5 neighboring school districts were surveyed and all have indicated no space is available for the Pasco School District to use. Those items are attached, and so at this time, we'd ask the board to approve Resolution 928.
I thought this was kind of funny, reading through all these letters from every single district saying that they have no space. Anyway, it seems kind of obvious, but here we go. I move to approve Resolution 928, certifying the findings that neighboring school districts do not have suitable or underutilized school plant facilities for use by Pasco School District.
Second.
There is a motion and a second to approve resolution number 928, certifying the findings that neighboring school districts do not have suitable or underutilized school plant facilities for use by the Pasco School District. Is there additional debate or discussion from the board? With no additional debate or discussion, Ms. Smith, please call the roll.
Dr. Richardson?
Yes.
Mr. Christensen?
Yes.
Ms. Rankin?
Yes.
Mr. Lehrman?
Yes.
Mrs. Phillips?
Yes.
Motion carries. Approval of resolution 928.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nunemaker. Was there any comments or questions from the audience on either action item 10A or 10B? Without additional questions or comments from the audience, we'll move on to action item number 11, the consent agenda. We have on the consent agenda, it's a short one today, we have personnel, warrant approval, and a contract for legislative advocacy.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the consent agenda as amended.
I'll second the motion.
There's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as amended. Discussion or debate from the board? Without discussion or debate from the board, Ms. Smith, please call the roll.
Mr. Christensen?
Yes.
Ms. Lanigan?
Yes.
Mr. Lehrman?
Yes.
Mrs. Phillips?
Yes.
Dr. Richardson?
Yes.
All right, next we have item number 12, future agenda items.
At our next board meeting, we will have a report regarding Pasco School District's legislative priorities. I will do a second in a series of 3 board governance scintillating presentations. And we are going to start, the board has also asked as a senior staff or staff that we put together at least once a month a focus on data. So on the 9th of August will be our first of a series of board reports over the course of the year that's focused on data, and we will start with college and career readiness.
All right, thank you, Ms. Whitney. We will adjourn into executive session. Thank you for attending tonight, and make sure you're safe out there. I heard there's some triple-digit weather coming up, so stay hydrated, and hopefully we see you at the next board meeting.
We are adjourning into executive session under 4231.10(1)(g) and I. We are expecting it to take approximately 20 minutes. Sarah Thornton, legal counsel, will be joining us, and we are not going to be taking any action.
Recess.